France and Russia have strengthened their relations with Ethiopia. Both countries are making their presence felt in the economic and military sectors. France is a non-member of BRICS, while Ethiopia has been making some moves to join the group. The outbreak of the Tigray conflict, however, slowed down this process. On the other hand, Russia has started a close relationship with Ethiopia in arms supply and in nuclear energy technology for power generation. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, along with other government officials, has repeatedly traveled to Russia. Since Prime Minister Abiy came to power, French President Emmanuel Macron has made an official visit to Ethiopia not just once, but twice. Prime Minister Abiy has also visited France repeatedly. Recently, a high-level meeting involving senior military leaders is scheduled to take place in Addis Ababa. This is a crucial and high-profile meeting. The date has been set, and the participants have been identified. According to the intelligence source, Africa Intelligence, chiefs of staff from various countries, including Ethiopia's Chief of General Staff, Field Marshal Birhanu Jula, will attend this Addis Ababa meeting. France, which signed an agreement with Ethiopia years ago to jointly work on the reorganization of the Air Force, is considered a key participant in this Addis Ababa meeting. The Addis Ababa meeting was organized by the Chief of the French Armed Forces, General Thierry Burkhardt. The military conference is titled the African Capacity Summit. This meeting of senior military leaders in Addis Ababa is scheduled to take place at the end of the upcoming European March. The chiefs of staff of the armed forces of France and Ethiopia, along with those from Nigeria, Senegal, Benin, Cameroon, Uganda, and Rwanda, will be in attendance. In addition, French companies involved in the defense industry sector are also expected to be present at the high-level military leaders meeting in Addis Ababa. In another development, Russia's relationship with Ethiopia is seen as strong, particularly regarding the Air Force's arsenal. Russia has supplied MiG and Sukhoi combat aircraft to Ethiopia. The technological capabilities of MiG and Sukhoi aircraft are categorized by generation. Ethiopia has acquired some of these and is now awaiting the delivery of other new combat aircraft after signing an agreement with Russia. Turning back to France, both countries view each other as rivals in their relationships with African nations. Former African colonial countries that reject France bring Russia in as a replacement, which irritates France. In this context, Ethiopia, being a country without a colonial history, maintains a relationship with both France and Russia that goes beyond merely expelling one and welcoming the other. France's historical relationship with African countries is one of colonialism. It colonized numerous countries in West and Central Africa. These countries are generally known as Francophone Africa, meaning French-speaking African countries other than France. Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia in North Africa were French colonies. Senegal, Mali, Côte d'Ivoire, and Burkina Faso in West Africa, as well as Chad, Gabon, and the Republic of the Congo in Central Africa, were also under French rule. Djibouti, a country in the Horn of Africa, was also a former French colony. What distinguishes France from other African colonial powers is that its relationship with its former African colonies, even after independence, has not significantly changed from the colonial past. In this regard, the North African former colonies, Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia, are the ones that managed to establish a principle-based relationship of mutual respect with France. Beyond this, France faces numerous accusations, especially in West African countries, for intervening in domestic politics and carrying out political manipulations that led to coup d'état. France had deployed its troops in Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad under the guise of peacekeeping during the coups that occurred there. The country has been accused of weaving various political conspiracies to facilitate these successive coups in West and Central African nations. Most significantly, the troops deployed in these countries under the pretense of peacekeeping have complicated matters. The French military is accused of violating human rights during its deployment and facilitating the transfer of the country's natural resources to France. In addition to these accusations, there is the belief that the army prefers to engage in internal political conspiracies rather than stabilizing the countries and withdrawing. As a result, the widening dispute between these countries and France ultimately led African countries, particularly those in the Sahel region, to push back against France, demanding the complete withdrawal of French troops. Moreover, a series of retaliatory measures have been taken, including banning anything French. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, Senegal, and Côte d'Ivoire have all declared that they no longer want a relationship with France, forcing the complete expulsion of French troops from their territories. Beyond turning away from France, some African countries have started new relationships with Russia. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, after expelling France, formed the Alliance of Sahel States AES and strengthened their ties with Russia instead of France. This relationship has a military and economic focus. Putin has firmly embraced the African nations that have moved out of France's orbit. Reports indicate that Russia is extending its relationships as far as Sudan. Russia's relationship with these countries is criticized for being focused on the exploitation of raw materials. Russia, which clearly understood the meaning of isolation due to the extensive sanctions imposed by the US-led Western world following the war in Ukraine, is now seeking new connections from China to India and Africa. It is known that Ethiopia is included and considered in this expansion and strengthening of ties, focusing on economic and military sectors. The strengthening Ethio-Russian relationship has been underscored by reports released a few weeks ago, indicating that Ethiopia is set to acquire the Russian-made Sukhoi 35 Su-35. According to this defense blog report, the Su-35 jet that is supposed to enter Ethiopia's hands under the agreement is nicknamed Flanker E-Super. The information indicates that it is a single-seat, twin-engine aircraft. It has the capability to penetrate deep into enemy targets and inflict severe damage. According to the source, Ethiopia, Algeria, and Iran have signed agreements with Russia to purchase these Russian-made fighter jets, which are classified as state-of-the-art in global Air Force technology. Algeria has already received the jets under the agreement. The report indicated that Iran has ordered 48 Su-35 combat aircraft from Russia. Algeria has purchased 12 Su-57 jets from Russia, and Ethiopia, in contrast, has signed an agreement to purchase 6 Su-35 jets from Russia. Previously, the Ethiopian Air Force's fighter jet arsenal included various Sukhoi models, and it is said that the Ethiopian government used the Su-27 jet during the Ethio-Eritrean War. The current Su-35 is equipped with the continued technology of the former 27. The Su-35 is ranked among Russia's most modern combat aircraft. Previous information, according to a report by Military Watch magazine, stated that Eritrea had ordered 6 MiG fighter jets from Russia, but was struggling with the financial payment. In terms of combat technology capability, the Su-35 fighter jet expected to come into Ethiopia's possession is extremely modern. Russia is under extensive sanctions, including an arms sales embargo, imposed by the US-led Western world due to its war with Ukraine. However, Ethiopia and other countries signed the jet purchase agreements before the war. Western media outlets are said to have paid little attention to Algeria's and Ethiopia's fighter jet purchases and agreements from this perspective. However, they have focused their attention on Iran's jet purchase agreement. The jets are believed to fundamentally change the level of Iran's air force. Regarding this leaked information, there has been no confirmation from Ethiopia, Iran, or Russia, the parties concerned. In recent years, there have been signs of the Ethiopian government strengthening its military capacity. Previously, there were no drones in the Ethiopian Air Force, but now a significant number of drones have been introduced. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is known to have stated that a high number of kamikaze drones, which are used to target enemy concentrations during military operations, are being manufactured. Although the Ethiopian Air Force, nearing its centennial, was modernized with the technology available during the Derg era, it was deliberately weakened during the EPRDF government, particularly in the years leading up to the Ethio-Eritrean border war, due to its association with the Derg. This led to the dispersal of qualified pilots and technicians, and the Air Force's infrastructure became unusable. Earlier, on January 16, 2024, January 7, 2016 EC, the Air Force received Russian-made Su-30 fighter jets. Field Marshal Berhijula, Chief of General Staff of the Armed Forces, who spoke at the handover of the fighter jets at the time, said that the jets would enable the Ethiopian Air Force to reclaim its superior position in Africa.